Well, I've driven the car for the first time with the new sort of rebuilt rear suspension. Well, it's the right-hand side. It's proved very good. I'm very happy. You know, it's been an enormous amount of work. Lying on my bloody back in the street in the cold, but you know, it's really paying off. The car, it feels a little bit lopsided. There's about 55 millimetre difference in ride height between the side on the left, which is completely original, and the brand new components on the right. So it does feel just slightly, I won't say awkward, but you can definitely feel it. So I'm taking it easy, you know, and I really wanted to give the car a good drive and sort of shake it down and make sure that it was actually fine before I set about doing the other side. If I'd made a mistake, I certainly wouldn't want to make the same mistake twice before I find out. I'd rather, you know, do a good drive in the car and go back to it. I'll check it. I'll re-torque everything. There's one thing I forgot to do. It's important, but it's a relative minor for a few miles. I've forgotten to put the locking wire in the large radius arm bush. There's a pin goes through the middle, and it just it has locking wire. You know, it will be absolutely fine. You know, it is torqued correctly, but I will re-torque it when I get back, and I'll remember to put some brand new locking wire in. You know, it's just been wonderful. You know, it's it's had a huge amount done to it now, so you know, it's certainly it is starting to drive very, very well indeed. And it was driving fine when I got it, but it was a bit squishy, and you know, it was a bit hesitant because, you know, nothing had really been touched in the engine bay for years. So it's a weird one because the car's completely original. It's a matching numbers car. The cylinder head, the gearbox, the engine block, it all corresponds. Nothing's ever been changed. But there are a huge amount of receipts for works that simply have never been done. The car has a full service history from the main dealership, and you know, they've just done the basics. They've sort of changed the engine oil every year, and I think that's about it, to be honest with you. I don't think they've done very much more. And the gentleman I bought it from a few months ago, when he first bought the car, he kept it for 5 years, but he barely used it. The first thing he did, he spent 1,300. I think it was about 1,378, if I remember rightly. It was a huge amount of money for a really, really comprehensive service. And I've been through this car. It's all on film, and honestly, truly, I've not found anything that person claims to have done. Nothing. There's no way of knowing whether he did or didn't change the oil. I suspect he probably did, but it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't even change the filter, if he just sort of wiped the filter cartridge down and sort of made it look new. But he didn't grease anything. He definitely didn't grease the hubs. There's no evidence that those hubs have ever been opened and the caps off to have grease. The oils in the differential. Let me think now. There was just, honestly, you know, a £1,400 service really should include everything, and you know, all the belts, every single bit of fluid, all the brake hoses. It really is quite a major service, and he didn't do any of it. And the poor man I bought it from paid a huge sum of money, and he was completely robbed and cheated. Now, I've been through everything. Now, no real harm's come to the car, thankfully. You know, I've managed to go through everything. I'm still a long way to go, and but it just niggles me that I've not spent money that on paying for work that hasn't been done, but other people have, and they've trusted people to do this work, and they've paid them a large sum of money, and it's not been done. I've also got a receipt for new rear brake discs, and the gentleman I bought it from did mention he'd had to have new discs. And I thought it was a bit strange. When I saw the bill, it was around about £300 and something. And to have new discs fitted to this car, £300 is not enough. It's a huge, huge job, monumentally large job. Ideally, you drop the whole suspension cage out of the car, and the discs themselves a cheap set are going to be 75, 80 quid. A decent set, maybe £120, but then you're really looking at a massive amount of it. So I was very suspicious. I've looked at these discs, they have not been changed. I've been trying to work out what he's done. It's possible what he'd done. The car kept failing its MOT on pitting on the discs. This went on for, I say failing, it didn't fail, it kept coming up as an advisory for about 10 years on the MOT that it was pitting on the rear discs. Because the car had so little use, rust builds up on the discs and then it starts to pit. And I think it must have failed at some point, or anyway, they decided to change them. Now, these discs haven't been changed, but the man I bought it from believes they have, and he paid over £300 to have what he was told was the disc changed. But the original discs are still there, and there is a certain amount of damage to the disc, so at some point I will change the damn things. What I think he must have done, I think he must have put the car up on a ramp, suspended on the chassis, not on the wheels, removed the rear wheels and started the car and put it in gear and let it run, and let the wheels roll freely and turn the brake discs at the same time. And I believe he had some sort of an abrasive belt on the underneath with the disc running, and then he was running the abrasive belt over the disc as it was turning, something like that. You can see kind of scratch and score marks in them where they've been filed. But obviously filing them by hand would be just impossible, but you could get like a small orbital or one of those long sort of skinny belt sanders. They're only about 10 or 12 millimeters, I don't know, something. And with the discs turning at tick over speed, half an hour or so with that, it would probably cut out. But he's actually charged for new discs, and the new discs haven't gone on this car. It's no skin off my nose. I didn't pay for the discs, but at some point I will have those discs out, and definitely not going to be in the next few months because it's fine at the moment. But I'm actually going to take a couple of days off the car. To be truthful, I'm absolutely knackered. I've worked so hard on it, and it's physical graft, and it's doubly more physical lying on your back on the pavement. It's difficult if you've got the car up on a ramp, on a big huge ramp. But it's just so awkward, and the pavement's unbelievably cold. It's it's just taken a bit of a toll. I'm going to take a couple of days off. I'll probably work on it Thursday or Friday again, but certainly no more work on the car for 2 or 3 days. But I'll be back with a vengeance and work really hard on it, after 2 or 3 days.